Welcome back, everyone, to the Countdown to Kickoff show. If you happen to be joining us from FoxSports.com or from national TV, this is going to be your final segment. We've got 4 more games to run down. Al DeMarco here along with Steve Budin. And, Steve, let's get to what I think is the marquee game and everybody else does today, New England and Pittsburgh. We had handicapper Trace Adams back in the second segment of the show, which you can catch here on the website if you'd like by replaying it. He liked New England here, laying the 3 to 3.5 points. And I got to tell you, I have to agree. This has been a series that the Patriots have dominated, 4-1 straight up and against the spread the last 5 meetings in this series. The only loss, as Trace Adams pointed out earlier, was the game that they played without Tom Brady. And they're also, coming off a bye. They have won 8 consecutive games when coming off a bye, when they're rested, covering 6 of those 8. And I'll tell you, I look at this Pittsburgh team, and I'm just not that impressed. In step-up games this year, they haven't delivered. They've beaten up the cupcakes of the league.
No, I agree. The only thing I worry about with Billy Belichick and the Patriots here is he likes to play chess at this time of the year. If he's playing a team that he knows he's going to meet later in postseason, he doesn't like to show them everything right now. He likes to save some stuff for later in the season. I think that's a problem. If you look at the Patriots the last time they played before the bye, they were half-stepping. They were running the ball more than I've ever seen them run the ball. It took a last-minute drive to win the game. It was almost like someone called Belichick before the game and said, hey, no scoring. So I don't know what's going on with the Patriots, but I think that I look at this total at 51, and I say to myself, wow, 1 off quarter, and we can get this thing to go under. I think we're going to see a lot more field goals than you think. The Steelers' defense is great. They're able to, to play the pass better than anyone else. They play the run as good as anyone. I think because of that, we're going to not see the typical blowout that everyone's expecting. I'm going to buck the trend and go under.
And it's interesting because, the Patriots guys have gone over in 20 of their last 25. Last game, of course, before the bye against Dallas, they did not go over. It also snapped a lengthy string where they had scored 30 or more points in regular season games. I think they had scored over 30 in 12 straight games before falling under that number against the Cowboys. The thing I look at here, though, is that in the last 6 regular season meetings with the Steelers and the Patriots, Tom Brady has just carved up this Pittsburgh defense, averaging 316 yards a game, 68% completions, 14 touchdown passes, only 3 interceptions. And those were better Steeler defenses.
Definitely.
The Steeler defense has 2 interceptions this year, guys. And the flip side, playing devil's advocate against myself, is, the Pittsburgh Steelers have offensive line problems. Big surprise. But the Patriots have no pass rush. So that's why I think if I had to go, I'd take the over because I think you're going to see some real aerial exploits. But if I had to bet the game, and this is one of those marquee games, they're the toughest ones to win. The line is absolutely sharp. I would lay it with New England, buy down the half point between 3 and 4, but not a game that I'm infatuated with. A game I'm going to watch,
Absolutely.
But a game that I don't think I'm going to put my money on. I'm just being honest.
And Pittsburgh always seems to be able to win those must games at home. At least they've done that this year, so it'll be interesting to see how they show up or not.
Steelers, FYI, 0-2 against the spread as a dog this season. San Francisco, minus 9.5, 10 points over Cleveland. Alex Smith, the fact is that Alex Smith has won 9 of his last 12 home starts, going 10-1-1 against the spread. Jim Harbaugh is managing Alex Smith, not putting so much pressure on him, and he's delivered this year. 63% completions, 8 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. What's really helped this 49ers offense, though, get going is that Frank Gore here, last 3 games, has averaged 131 yards a game, 7.9 yards per carry. I just don't see Cleveland competing here. They failed to cover 5 of their last 7 as a road dog. They're 2-7 their last 9 against the NFC. Their 3 wins this year have come against teams that are a combined 2-16. What does that tell you?
Yeah, let's be honest. This is a good team against a bad team. And every week we have a scenario like this where you can't be scared of the obvious. In this case, the 49ers, the obvious play. It's not a trap. Make the play.
Through 7 weeks, and I pointed out this at the top of the show, first 7 weeks of action, favorites and underdogs are dead even in Vegas. I didn't say underdogs were 80 games above 500.
Right.
Every week there's 5 or 6 favorites getting the job done, and I think this is a case where, San Francisco, Harbaugh, young team, will they come to play? That's the only question. Coming off the bye, I say yes, and I think this is the only way to go. Listen, Colt McCoy, he's thrown for under 215 yards in 5 of the last 6 games. And that 49ers defense is for real. You saw what they did to Calvin Johnson, Matt Stafford, and the Lions before the bye.
And Harbaugh has put together an offensive system that's playing to the strengths of his quarterback.
Yes.
And that's so very important when you have a young, impressionable quarterback like that.
Cincinnati and Seattle. Okay, that's enough about that game. The Bengals, Cedric Benson suspended for this game, remember, because of the off-field problems. Seattle lost 6-3 at Cleveland. And,
Top of the ninth.
And they have injury concerns at quarterback. Like I said, enough of that game. I have no clue. And if that's the game you got to bet on today, you shouldn't be gambling. I'm just telling you right now.
I like Seattle a little bit, home team underdog. I think their defense is going to get to Andy Dalton. I think they like new quarterback blood. They'll go after him. I think that gives them a little advantage, but I'm not betting this game.
Well, and the other thing that gives Seattle advantage at home, and you've seen veteran quarterbacks struggle with the crowd noise at West Field. There's a reason that they are 7-3-1, straight up 8-3 against the spread, I think, in Pete Carroll's home games since taking over the Seahawks, and Andy Dalton, a rookie quarterback who has played well. But again, Cincinnati has beaten bad teams this year. Don't ever forget that. In a battle of two bad teams, I don't think you put good money on it. That's a recipe for disaster. Philadelphia and Dallas.
Great game.
Great game, yes. Priced fairly. Philadelphia coming off the bye, getting a win to snap their 4-game losing streak prior to that bye against Washington, a game that they really played well for the first time this season. Laying 3.5 points. They're 9-3 ATS off their last 12 byes. The flip side to that, and there's always a flip side with these trends. That's why I don't put a lot of stock in them. You know, Michael Vick is 2-6 straight up and against the spread in his last 8 starts. The key here in this game is Dallas is going to want to run the ball. Everybody's in love now with DeMarco Murray, 253 yards rushing last week against St. Louis. Eagles haven't been able to stop the run. They're giving up almost 5 yards a carry at 4.8 yards a pop to opposing running backs.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to ask the same questions here. Which Tony Romo will show up? Which Michael Vick will show up? I don't really know, but I look at this total at over 50 points, and it looks more bloated than Andy Reid after a Philly cheesesteak at Geno's. I'm going under the 51 here. I think that they're going to be a field goal fest, and it's going to go under the total.
Well, having been raised in the Philadelphia area, I go with Tony Luke's, not Pat's or Geno's. That's my unofficial endorsement for the Philly cheesesteak wars. Listen, the Eagles have only covered twice in their last 11 games as a home division favorite. They've only covered 4 times in their last 12 games at home overall. And you look at this Dallas team, you're right. You never know what you're going to get. But the Cowboys have covered 4 of the last 5 in the series.
Even when they choke, they cover.
Yeah, and here's the thing, guys. I think, this is just a guess, I think Philadelphia is going to win this game. I can't sit here and back it up. I mean, I know Jason Garrett is 6-0 against the spread as a dog since taking over the Cowboys. I can give you a bunch of other stats. I'm concerned that, the Eagles' pass rush has really suffered since Trent Cole went out, missed the final 2 games prior to the bye. Who knows, when he's going to be anywhere near 100% again. And I think they need to put the rush on Romo because that's when he forces the turnovers. But I just like the Eagles in this game, and I would go ahead and buy down the half point on them.
And that speaks to a truth in the gambling business. Sometimes as a gambler, you got to trust your gut. It's very important. You get that feeling inside that tells you something. No different than me at a crap table, anticipating a big hand and pressing up right before it. Now, how did I know that? It was just a little feeling inside your gut. And as a gambler, you got to learn to trust that over time.
Absolutely. And listen, as a gambler and as a handicapper, I look at the board, I break it down. When that one game screams out, bet me, bet me, bet me, that's it. I'm locked and loaded, and I don't change my mind. Because over the years, I found that if I occasionally changed my mind and I went away from that first inclination, that's when I lost. And that's when you're put in the position of second-guessing yourself. I don't mind losing. I don't like second-guessing myself. So I go with what brings me to the dance every time. And that game that screams, bet me, there's one of them in today's card. That's the game that I always ride.
Your first opinion's always right.
Hey, guys, in our closing seconds, remember, you can watch any portion of the show right here on the website. Again, if you happen to miss it, we're joining you every single Sunday, breaking down all the games from a point spread perspective. Remember, $300 of my money up for grabs at draftstreet.com. Use my last name, DeMarco, to enter the contest. It's fantasy football at its finest because after the Monday night game, that's when the final of the league is determined. That's when the money is doled out. DeMarco is the entry code over at draftstreet.com. You've got until 1 o'clock Eastern time here on Sunday to finalize your teams. Al DeMarco for Steve Budin. We'll be joining you again each and every Sunday right here for the Countdown to Kickoff football show. Good luck, everybody.